This is Twit.
Let's get to the business of the day.
What is the business of the day?
Sets. Is Sets really over? I'm sad if it is.
Do we have any funeral music?
Oh, we do. but tell me it's just delayed.
Sure.
I'd like to tell you that.
Tell me it's really they're going to... But it was working, right?
Oh.
You were using it.
Yeah, but it was based on Microsoft Edge.
Oh.
And it wasn't working that well, was it?
I thought it was fine. I mean,
You did?
By the way, do you notice this? Sets is an interesting thing to me because there was a lot of blowback from people who didn't want it.
Right.
And
yeah,
I don't
have
feel
to
like
use it if you don't want it.
Exactly.
I
don't
think
understand.
I think people who tried it just felt like it's not intuitive enough and it works in a wonky way. And so they were like, is that the best you guys can do with Sets?
I think so. I think I could be wrong about this, but I believe that the way they implemented it was as a kind of system-wide feature where any window could conceivably have arbitrary tabs in it that could possibly be for different applications or something.
Yeah.
And I think what
applications
most people,
or data, right? Or websites.
Yeah.
Like you could do anything.
Yeah, you could mix and match. And I think what people were kind of looking for was, I just want to use this app with tabs, for that app.
Yeah.
And of course, then there were specific implementations. Like there were people who would say, look, I just want it in the File Explorer, or
exactly,
I just want it in the
console,
windows.
Right?
Yeah.
Or Notepad.
And I hear you. I hear you. But again, it's like any other feature in Windows 10. You don't have to use it. It's not in your face or anything.
Exactly. True.
Some people would find it to be of great use. I don't know that I would have used it that much, but I would defend it just because it doesn't get in my way.
Right. So let's give the backstory on this because
and maybe say what Sets is so that people understand what we're talking about.
Right. So Sets was this Windows management tool that Microsoft showed us in 2017, early 2017, I think, and they showed it to us the same time they showed us Timeline. So Timeline actually shipped as part of Windows 10 April update 2018. Yeah. And Sets did not. Sets kept being tested among certain groups of insiders, and then it wasn't. And with 1903, I don't believe it ever showed up as part of the test builds at all.
That's true.
Right.
It never did.
So this is funny. So here's what I heard. So several months ago, I got a random tip that said, I've heard you guys talking about Sets on Windows Weekly. It's dead. And you guys keep acting like it's not. And so I never wrote it up because I was like, oh, I wonder if it's dead or not. And, are people really going to care? I actually thought that. And so I just kind of sat on that. And then over this past weekend, Rich Turner, who is a program manager for the console, he didn't work on Edge.
Has been on the show.
He's been on the show, and he was answering a question somebody asked him related to Sets. And he said, here's his exact tweet: the shell provided tab experience is no more, but adding tabs is high on our to-do list. So a lot of people took that as him saying Sets is dead and we don't really care because in the console, we're going to just do our own tabs anyway.
I took that to mean, I hearing you say it now, I actually understand what he meant. But when I read it as the Sets that we were working on before is dead, and probably because of the whole Edge thing. But putting tabs into the OS is still on our to-do list. I think when he said us, he meant the console team, not the Windows team.
Yeah, he did.
So I wrote an article at the time when I sort of said, is Sets dead? Yeah. And I said, based on this tweet, it seems like it's something they still want to do. That was not the case.
No, that was not. Well, so then I went back to my contacts and I started asking around. I'm like, so what's the deal with Sets based on this comment? And they said, well, yeah, Sets is dead. And, he's basically saying we're going to still do something that looks like Sets in the Windows console, but he's not answering for all of the operating system. He's answering just for the console. So that's how I wrote it up. I said, I heard months ago Sets is dead. And then Rich Turner just happened to tweet this thing, which is about the console. So that makes me think tabbed experiences, that idea is going to continue, but it's going to be in the apps, right? Which to me is where it should be, right?
I get, right. Okay. So, yes, I agree with that. I think the multi-headed weird thing where you have lots of different apps in a single thing is a subtle different take on virtual desktops. It doesn't seem necessary. It's a little too complex. I get the notion you could have like a project window that has all your, whatever you're working on.
I use virtual desktops like crazy now that I'm using Windows heavily. Yeah.
Yep.
Control Windows key, left arrow, right arrow is I live there. The one thing I miss, which we had in the Mac, is as soon as on the Mac, when you go full screen, it basically says, oh, that's a workspace all to itself.
Sure.
So you don't have workspaces with two things in it.
Yeah.
And I wish Windows did that, but that's very minor compared to.
And
then
my issue with.
Sorry. I switched the Alt tab to include everything, so that I can see everything that's going on. Mm-hmm. So it's not really work group.
I wish you could save a workspace or a virtual desktop.
That would be really nice.
And I wish that you could persist a virtual desktop between reboots.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. That's kind of what would Sets do that? Sets would kind of do that, wouldn't it? Would it save?
I don't know. We don't know.
We'll never know.
What if it saved it to Azure? It could do it, right? Like somehow.
Yeah. Because then you could have your workspaces all set up that you liked.
Yeah.
Right.
Yep. And any machine, it would be like a timeline feature. It'd be something you could kind of resuscitate somewhere else.
Yeah. Right. So the part that I think a lot of people kind of downplayed when people immediately got all angry, like, oh my God, they're killing Sets. Like, here's another thing Microsoft's killing that I wanted and I loved. And
come on.
How could you say this? And what are you talking about? And people got really crazy about it. But
this is the definition of an enthusiast.
It is
somebody who cares that much about a feature that was never offered.
Exactly. But if you think about it from Microsoft's perspective, okay, to pull this off, they had to, the way they originally showed us Sets, the Office team had to buy in, right? Edge had to be bought in all big time. And right now the Edge team's a little busy with this Chromium thing. You might have heard of Credge. So
that's what really happened, right? Is the Credge thing?
Right, if you're picking priorities,
it was like a monkey Credge they threw in the
Should I do the Sets thing that doesn't exist yet, or should I worry about moving our browser to Chromium?
Yeah,
I don't know.
But the side problem here, and I think you will kind of allude to this in the notes, which is is this a problem? And the answer is to some degree, it's a little bit of a problem because Microsoft now has a rich history of promising things for Windows 10 and then silently ignoring them for a while. And then you suddenly just find out that they've stopped doing it. They're not very good about they're very good about announcing things. They're not very good about coming out and saying, hey, things have changed.
Did you see the statement they started giving to people? Okay. When people were asking, is Sets dead? Mary Jo and other people are saying Sets is dead. Here's their statement from a spokesperson. We've taken Sets offline from the Windows Insider program to continue to evaluate long-term while also needing to prioritize other work tied to Microsoft Edge. Okay, so that's as much of a dead statement as you're going to get. It's on the back burner. We have no timeline for it. We aren't doing anything with it right now.
Yeah, right.
I mean, they're not going to give you a statement and say Sets is dead. That's just not going to happen.
It should, by the way, because transparency is good, whether it's good news or bad news. Yeah. But the other thing, the reason I like Sets, and I don't mean for me, I mean just as a Windows 10 feature. Like I said, I don't think I would use it. Is just that it is a productivity focused feature. I think it speaks to the core of what Windows is now. And really, frankly, always was really, but it's a desktop feature. It would benefit normal people. Virtual desktops is nice, but it's kind of undiscoverable, and to normal people is just too daunting, I think, to ever use. Whereas tabs are a familiar user interface from browsers, and I think people could kind of wrap their heads around that. Multiple app tabs within in the same window, I think, would have been confusing to people for sure. So yes, I agree. If a future version of Windows may add a tabbed interface to the File Explorer, it sounds like a future version of Windows will add a tabbed interface to the console windows. It's great. There's nothing wrong with that. That's all good news. But say it, Microsoft. Just say it.
Yeah.
Well, and the fact that we have to go to Twitter to a guy I'm lucky enough to follow because I know him and I like the guy, so I get to find out about it. But I mean, that's it's not his fault. But I mean, that's no way to find out about something like this. And this is the thing. This is my central issue here.
Yeah. And, everyone was saying to me, well, you saw that statement they gave. That means it's not dead, right? And so I will just point you to 2 other examples where this exact thing happened. The Band 3, remember that product? Did Microsoft ever say they killed that product? No.
Right.
Andromeda, the dual screen phone. Did Microsoft ever say they killed it? No, they never even said they were working on it.
Right?
We're living in the Matrix.
Yeah. Well, we have mixed feelings because on the other hand, we also would like to hear about this ahead of time. Right?
Agree.
That gives us something to talk about, write about, think about, and give them feedback on. And so I don't want them to say, well, we better not say pre-announce anything. This is kind of the Apple way, right? And let's not say anything about anything until it's out. Actually, Apple's changed their tune too. Remember AirPower?
Sure.
2 years.
Well, they've done that a few times, actually.
Yeah. So I think it's not a bad thing, and I think enthusiasts just should get over themselves.
Yeah.
You know?
That's never going to happen, Leo. So.
No. and
by the way, we're enthusiasts. We've spent half an hour on this subject. I mean, we care.
Yeah. No, and if the idea of a tabbed user experience shows up, there will be people who say, see, they didn't kill sets. All I'm saying is the thing that we call sets now that people tested is gone. I'm not saying tabbed experiences as an idea is gone. Maybe that will still come forward. Maybe it will even be part of Edge someday, right?
Yeah, but Mary Jo, why do you lie? I think that's what we all want to know.
Why are you such a liar?
Why are you a lying liar who lies?
Yeah.
Oh, yes.
I have one guy say to me on Twitter, I don't know who your sources are, but I have sources too, and my sources say blah, blah, blah. And I'm looking up, I'm like, who is this guy?
Yeah.
Like
I got a friend who works in the cafeteria of the lunchroom, and he says,
like, okay. I all I can say is I feel like I'm often the bad guy in these things. Like I'm the one who said, by the way, Andromeda's dead.
The bad guy in these things.
Yeah.
Right. By the way, Band 3, it's dead. Hey, I said
Mary Jo's fault. Microsoft's going to make it. Mary Jo said no. Mary Jo's email address is...
Mary Jo hates band. Mary Jo hates sets.
It's the different.
Why do you hate health so much?
It's the definition of shoot the messenger.
It is, right?
Don't blame Mary Jo, guys.
Guys, I would like to see some more productivity things come to Windows. I'm all about productivity. Productivity is my middle name.
I honestly, sets is fine, but I think you could do better. And I think this workspaces thing is getting closer and closer. And I actually like Timeline. I leave that on.
Yeah, Timeline is pretty cool.
Yeah. Yep. I don't know if I've used it ever, but I like it.
Yep.
But it integrates with workspaces because it also shows your desktops. So.
And you know what? If you really, really want sets, buy Groupie from Stardock.
Right, you can get it.
Yeah. Right, that's true. That's a good point.
Now, some people in the chat
that should have been the app pick today.
Some people in the chat were saying all we really want is tabs in Windows Explorer.
So you're probably going to get that.
Okay. I don't know why that's a big deal, but okay.
I've heard a lot of people say that too, and I'm like, oh, interesting. Okay.
Interesting.